Global Special Educators Virtual Summer Camp 2020.
The online transition and the number of speakers has truly made this edition an interesting one.
We are right now, we're working with the Cadet Academy on a training course which is specific to Africa. So I'm really eager to see how that develops. I know it's going to be wonderful because of the Cadet Academy. Now, the great professional ladies there will make it terrific, I'm sure. So we're looking forward to that.
Thank you. Hello, good evening, everyone. Good to have you again here. I see you, Vicky. I see you, Pamela Manu. Thank you, everyone, for joining us once again this beautiful Sunday evening. I hope you've had a restful weekend and that you're looking forward to a fruitful week starting from tomorrow. I guess it's Saturday anyway, but a fruitful working day tomorrow and up to Friday. I wish us all the very best. So once again, welcome to Finding Up with Special Needs. It's episode 31. Can you believe it? 31. We've met together, shared ideas with one another for the past 31 weeks. Well done to everyone. Thank you for always joining in. Thank you for always caring so much to know about special needs and disability. And thank you for going out there to spread the word so that we can make the lives of our kids and individuals with special needs and disability a better one. Thank you, everyone. Today, we shall be talking about disability and parental stroke self-advocacy. You know, many times we find out that some parents do not even understand the kind of disability that their children are living with, or some adults. I've met some adults who do not even understand what it is that they are living with. And it becomes very difficult for them to advocate for themselves socially, educationally, and all of that. So today, I'll be bringing up two beautiful women. I'm even like, you know what? I'm not going to sit down and listen to them because they have so much to say to us today. I would want us to please close attention as parents, as service providers, as teachers, and let's learn from them. You know, there's something in the disability world that says nothing about us without us. There's no better way to understand and to learn than to hear, so to say, from the horse's mouth. So today we have two beautiful ladies, like I said, ladies. They are they are knowledgeable. You know, when there's one thing to know and there's another thing to do. These people they know and they have done. And today they'll be sharing quite a number of beautiful experiences with us that we can learn from and also use. And some are even unlearn, because some of us have our own idea of what certain things should be. But these two ladies, they have walked through the fire and they came out strong. So we'll be listening to them telling us. I have my jotter here, like I always do. I'm going to be jotting out so many points. And please, let's all pay attention like we always do. You know, I have the best audience. You don't gather here just to come and watch anybody's face. You gather here to learn, because when I read your question and your comments, it shows me that you're really paying good attention. So thank you once again for joining us this evening. Please do not forget to share, to like, to invite others so we can learn. And above all, leave your questions. Leave your questions, and our two guests will be more than happy to answer your questions. Okay. Thank you so much. Thank you, Sharon Equity. Thank you, Sunday Precious. Thank you, everyone on Facebook, on Cadet Academy website that have joined us today. We truly appreciate you. And then let's learn together. So without much ado, like I said, today's topic is disability and parental and self-advocacy. And with me today in the studio, let me bring out the first guest. Okay. I'll do Toby quickly. And then I'll do Auntie Angela. Hello. Hello, Toby. Are you there?
Yes, I'm here. I can see you.
Can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
Great, great. I think I lost Auntie Angela, but I'm sure she'll come up pretty soon. So while we wait for Auntie Angela to come up, like we all know, we're not going to be moved by whatever the internet does to us. We're going to just keep going on as and pretend as if we don't know that there's any issue. We know it's a peculiar thing with us. We're not going to make much noise about it. We're just going to go on. So if for any reason you get yanked out, I'm going to bring you back in. We're going to do what we have to do, and we're not going to be distracted. So welcome again, Toby. While we wait for
Thanks,
Angela, can you
Lola.
please introduce yourself? She's back.
Yay!
Can you what's she? Yeah, go on, Toby. Go on.
Okay. All right. So when they do this whole introduce yourself thing, I get very confused because I'm like, do you guys want like the short version, the medium version, or the long version? Anyway, so I'll give us the
Okay,
short
let me tell you
version.
something. Mhm. Go
I'll give you
ahead.
guys. I'll
Hello,
give us the
Tanya.
short. Hi, Angela. So I'm going to try to be a professional somebody and stop just here, but yeah. Okay. So short version, right? My name is Lola Aneke, and I'm a disability management advocate. I run an organization called the Let Cerebral Palsy Kids Learn Foundation, commonly known as Let CP Kids Learn. The focus of the organization is to promote inclusive education for children with cerebral palsy in Nigeria. So before you ask the why cerebral palsy, let me just let the cat out of the bag. Just in case you missed the memo, I also live with cerebral palsy myself, and I have my whole life. And just before you say you don't sound like you live with cerebral palsy, cerebral palsy does not have a sound, neither does it have a look. So let's get that out of the way. And yeah, so that's pretty much the short version. Okay, before I came into disability advocacy, I did study to become a lawyer. So I have a first and a second degree in law. My second degree is in international law, actually, and I'm actually a 3-time published author. The fourth book on the way, by the way. What else? Yeah, I think that makes for a short introduction, Abby.
Good job, Toby. Thank you. Auntie
Yeah.
Angela, good to have you. Thank you so much for choosing to spend your evening with us. I know
Pleasure.
you're very busy. I know Toby is also busy, but I feel so honored. We all feel so honored to have you. Thank you so much, ma'am. Please introduce yourself to us.
My pleasure. Okay, hello everyone. My name is Angela Mua. I'm the let me get this out of the way. I'm the chairman of Punch, but that's not why. So let's put that out of the way. Being chairman, I mean, my was on special needs, on the special needs in the special needs area. I'm a founding member of Golden Hearts Touching Lives. It's a charity that focuses on special needs, particularly, and poor communities, especially if it's special needs with, like we adopted a school in Oshodi, in Ojuwoye, which we made the envy of the other school because we really uplifted that school. So everyone knew that this was a place to be. So they stopped looking down on the children. Anyway, so and also
Auntie Angela,
and
I'm gonna
about
Auntie Angela,
and
you're breaking pretty
using
much.
agents
If you can hear
for
me,
to
I'm going to take you out of the studio for a bit, and then we invite you so that we can have a better quality and hear you better. So if you can hear me,
okay,
I'll take you out briefly and then add you back. Okay, because it's really
okay.
breaking a lot, so we could hardly hear your introduction. So we'll bring you back in again. Let's see if
My
that will
own.
help us. Yes, thank you, ma'am.
Maybe I should switch to my data instead of my Wi-Fi
I
because
think
I don't
maybe you
know.
should do that also. Let's see if that will work better. While you will wait for you,
Okay,
Toby will
okay. So
keep speaking and then we'll bring you back on, ma'am. Hello, Toby.
Hi, Lola.
While we wait for Auntie Angela to do our introduction again, I want you
Right.
to, so you said, I think quite a lot of people do know Toby, but for the benefit of those that not know you, you already told us that you're living with cerebral palsy. Could you please
Mm-hmm.
tell us what it was like? I mean, when did you realize that you are living with cerebral palsy, and what did you think it was? It's one thing to say, look, I'm not working, or I'm not holding at my pencil. What could this be? And then when you found out, what was it like for you?
So let me clear this up very quickly. My parents, they did not leave me in the dark at all. I think
At
that by
what
the
age
time
did
I
you
was
realize?
5, I mean, I think by the time I was 6, I was basically schooling my class. I was schooling my classmates. So, what my parents did do was to break it down in, like, age appropriate ways. So, I mean, I'm the 4th of 5 children, so it's very easy to realize that you're different from everybody in the house. You don't even have to go out to know that. There's something different about me, because all of them are jumping, I can't jump. All of them are sitting, I can't sit. I mean, it's very early on, you can already tell that you're a bit different. And so, I mean, and the good thing was my parents didn't wait for me to ask. I mean, I think everybody in my house can tell you my birth story from beginning to end, and they can tell you, I mean, in some very easy way, what cerebral palsy is. I was speaking to an older friend of mine, and she said that I have this explanation of cerebral palsy that I gave her once and she has never forgotten. And I laughed and said, oh, it was the easy explanation I was taught as a child. I still use it. I mean, when
Yes,
I
share,
when
share,
my
share,
parents
share, share, share with us.
okay, so when my parents wanted to explain cerebral palsy to me, what they did, and I even can't remember if this was my mom or my dad, or it was just a combination of both of them, was they took me to the switch box where all the lights and everything in your
Yes,
house
yes,
is
yes.
controlled from, right?
Yeah, the
So
square box.
is that square box, and because
That's
we
the
were always
box.
having yeah, I'm always having like electrical issues, so they were always opening that box when I was growing up. And so that if they turn off something, there's some part
Control,
of the
yeah.
house now like when they turn another side. So I mean, we all knew that box. So my mom said, look, see, you see this box, eh? This box is like your brain. Now, when you were born, so you know that now, if I open this box, all the lights, all the switches are on. So we all have light everywhere in the house. I was like, yeah, that makes sense. She said, what happens if I switch this light off, this one off? So she switches, and I'm like, the TV went off. She was like, well, yeah. So I switched off the part that controls the TV. That's kind of what it is. This switch box represents your brain. When you were born, some switches came off. When you were born, they were off. They just never came on. And because they never came on, the parts of your body that are controlled by those switches don't function as they should. So have we used any medical jargon? No. Do I understand why I can't walk? Yes. I was 5. So I immediately it was something I could relate to. So it made sense. I said, okay. And then, of course, you ask the question, why can't we turn it on? And then it's like, oh, sorry, we have to turn that on using therapy and all your medical treatment, which is why you should take your therapy seriously and stop fighting him. And I was like, okay. That was it. I mean, immediately that made sense to me. And so as a child, if I went anywhere and somebody asked me, like children will ask, I mean, why do you walk funny? I have an explanation for you. I will sit you down and explain it to you straight away and say, this is why I walk funny. And so by the time I was 5, I knew that my diagnosis was called cerebral palsy. Trust me, I did not know what cerebral meant. I did not know what palsy meant. I just knew that was what it was called. And I knew that it had something to do with my brain as switches. I could explain it. And so I knew very early on that I was different from my siblings and different from my friends. But I also, for me, the only difference was I couldn't walk like them. I felt like I was just as smart as them and maybe even smarter sometimes. So yeah, might as well. Yes, you can beat me in running, but I will still beat you in class. So yeah, 1-1. So it didn't really, so for me, having that information early on helped me to not get so hung up on what's wrong with me because I already knew what it was.
Wow, Toby, thank you for sharing that with us. But sometimes when we speak about disability, and you and I know this, that it's a
Mhm.
spectrum. The way
Yes,
it will affect a particular person will be different from the way it will affect the other person. And like you always say that when you've met one person with a particular disability, you've only met that
met
person,
one person.
even if they are that
Yeah,
twin, even if they are twins, and all
yeah.
that. But what I wanted to ask right now is for the benefit of those parents who would think, oh, but oh, she took it well when she was told. I mean, because the truth is, even with the fact that your parent told you on time, what would you
Hmm.
say were those factors that made you accept yourself for who you are? On your parents' side, what do you think they did that made you not feel so different? Because whether you like it or not, the fact that you were different from your siblings, it also it says something to you,
Of
like
course,
why is it me? Why could have been A, could
of
have been child
course,
B? Why Toby?
of,
So what was that thing
of
that made
course.
you go through that even at that age? Because I can remember 5 years, my 5 year old going on 6. She asked so many questions, So
Oh
even
yeah.
with the fact that they told you that, what would you think? What were the factors on your parents' side and on your side that make you go through this without feeling totally out of place in your family? For the benefit of
So
those parents who are thinking, oh, Toby was told she was fine. Why are you sulking? Why are you, some parents be like, after all, she did it and she took it well. Welcome
so
back, Auntie
again,
Angela. Once Toby finishes our
welcome
question,
back.
we'll get back to you, ma.
It's going to
So
work because your voices are a bit, we are breaking a bit, and I restarted my device and can you hear me properly now?
I think it's
yeah, we
better. You
can
just
hear
need to
you
be
now.
louder.
Okay, okay,
Hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's a
So
lot better. Go on,
let's
Toby.
see.
okay.
Yes, I'm trying to even. Yeah, so on my parents' side, and I think that for the most part, it was really my parents. I don't really think. I think that we shape. I think that adults shape children.
Hmm.
You kind of shape your children into how they think. Believe it or not, there are certain belief systems you hold today because your parents taught them to you. So I always say that my parents really shaped how I accepted things because first of all, in those 5 years before we even had that conversation, I had not been treated like I was different, right?
Hmm.
Now, when I say I had not been treated like I was different, this is not to say that I wasn't getting all the medical treatment nobody else was getting, and I was getting very upset about those ones because those therapists are something else. Yeah, but I mean, that was going on. I was in and out of the hospital, and nobody else was in and out of the hospital. I was on some kind of diet that nobody else was on. All those things used to piss me off. But apart from that, I was treated like a member of the family. I had a voice.
Hmm.
So it was not so if everybody was having, an opinion about something, somebody would Toby had a voice. It was Toby, okay, what do you think? Even if it took me a bit longer to put my thoughts together and get my words out, which generally wasn't an issue, they waited for me to do it. So if we're having a family conversation about how did your day go, despite the fact that my own day was spent on the bed because I wasn't going anywhere, everybody still waited for Toby to say how her day went. So you see,
Great.
because you're treated like that, you already kind of know that you have value, irrespective of what you're not able to do. And so, because I was already treated as an inherently valuable person, I mean, one of the things that I think it was my dad used to ban conversations around things like Toby can't, Toby. My dad hated that thing. He still does. I mean, till tomorrow, if I start whining about something and I'm like, well, how disability just gets in the way, and you come, and that's like, sorry, excuse you, can't does not register in this household. It's yes, the stability makes it harder for you, but there are ways around it. So use your mind here. And because I was raised like that, the kind of general mindset that I was raised with, what I was told with the way that I was treated, was that okay, you have a little bit more obstacles to overcome, you know, than your siblings, but you can, and you have everything that you require to do so. And on top of that, we're going to support you to do so. So let me give you an example of when I say this started very early. When I was growing up, I grew up in a very kind of close-knit neighborhood. It was an estate. And so every Christmas, there was this thing called the estate Christmas party. I mean, if you grew up in the 80s in estates, you know this, right? There's this estate Christmas party for the children. And all the parents make a big deal about this Christmas party. I think that thinking back now, I think they were all trying to outdo themselves. Anyway, so it was always about how you decked up your kids. I mean, if your kids were going to go for this Christmas party, they had to be looking, you know. And my mom would literally like squad as if she would walk around the markets looking for the perfect outfit for me, just as all my siblings were picking out their perfect outfits. She was picking out my perfect outfit because I had to look just as good, if not better, than most of the other kids at that party. Guess what? She was going to back me there because I could walk there. But she put me on a chair at that party. They had to know that her daughter had arrived at that party. Let's just be clear. I mean, and I remember that, of course, people would make comments. People would make very nasty comments, but it just really didn't matter. I remember that I think I was about 6 or so at one of the parties, and somebody said, I don't even know why her mother keeps spending money on expensive shoes. So she had gone to buy me this Jurassic Park. I could never forget. It was Jurassic Park was the in movie at the time, and she had got to buy me this theme sneakers, Jurassic Park sneakers, and she had like I had put it on and she had taken me to the party. And somebody said, I don't even know why she keeps spending stupid amounts of money on her child's shoes. It's not like the child can even walk safe, you know. But the point was, well, you're old because in my house I matter and I get to wear new shoes whether you want me to or not. And so when you're raised like that, when you're raised to know that you're inherently valuable and you're shown, I mean, it's something that, because the truth is that, you know what, children, it's not really about what you're saying. It's really about what your body language and what you're doing says. So they hear you, but they hear your body language more. They hear your actions more. So a lot of the times I wasn't listening to what my friends were saying. They could say whatever they liked, but what were their actions telling me? The actions were telling me that I was valuable, that I had a voice, and that I meant something. And so even though I had all these obstacles, their actions had told me that my value was not diminished based on these obstacles. And because my value was not diminished, when I finally got the explanation of why these obstacles were there, it was just, okay, now I understand, but hey, I'm still me, a member of this family that's loved and valued and wanted. So moving on, moving forward.
Yeah. Fantastic, Toby. Thank you for sharing. My nose is almost full. You know, and I could hear you say, look, parent, the role of the parent, be it a single mother or the both, goes a long way. Today's topic is on advocacy, you know, parent advocacy, disability, parent advocacy, and self-advocacy. And there's no way a child would advocate for his or herself without the parent first helping that child to understand who he or she is, whether with a disability or not. Because we still have some kids without disability that their self-esteem is gone. They can't speak for themselves. They're shy and all of that. But with the way all that you've told us today, look, I think every parent needs to come and learn, really and truly. You know, so I want to thank you so much, and I believe parents are out there listening. I believe teachers are, because we matter too. We are the one that teach, service providers. Let's learn to give our children voices. Let's tell them beautiful things about them. So let's empower them to advocate for themselves. Thank you so much, Toby. Thank you. Let them understand their value. You know, let them know who they are, what they carry. You know, thank you so much, Toby, for sharing this. And Angela, I can't wait to hear you speak to us. Please, we want you to reintroduce yourself again, particularly the way I love the way you did it initially, but was breaking up, and now you told us about how a school was put together, and other schools were like, really, a school could be like this. I don't know if I heard you right, but please, could you introduce yourself again? And I know that there's so much you can learn from me today, and I'm ready to learn. Toby said, from an individual living with cerebral palsy, you are a parent, and I'm sure, Toby, I've taken some of your words, but I want to hear from you. Beyond introducing yourself, I want you to quickly link it to when you found out tell us how many kids you had, if you don't mind, and then tell us when you found out that your other child was different, how did you as a parent take it in, and how were you able to empower? Because he's done so well. Really, I'm like, can I do this? So please tell us from that place of you accepting and how you're able to now help your son to do what he's able to do. Thank you so much, man.
Okay. Well, again, it's a pleasure to be here. I always love listening to you, Toby, and hearing your story because it's amazing how much you've achieved. And of course, your parents, awesome. I mean, anyway, let me go back to my introduction. As I said, I'm the chairman of Parental. That's out of the way. I'm a founding member of Golden Hearts Initiative. And what we did was, in fact, how Golden Hearts started, we were supposed to have a sports day for our children. It rained, so we couldn't have the sports day. We had a lot of snacks. So they said, okay, why don't we go to a home nearby? So I think they ended up at Otundalu's school for the, disability school anyway, and they were moved. So, we had snacks for our children who were comfortable. So we gave it out to them. But from that day, we said, okay, we've got to start going into special needs. So we started Golden Hearts together, me and some parents of Green Springs. And we adopted a school in Mushi, Ojuwe. We started, one of us was going there regularly. So we adopted the school. We started looking into what they needed. Sometimes we'd renovate the school, got them a generator. And the Christmas parties, we make sure that, and it's not just about just having a Christmas party, but the fact that we were there with them, interacting with them, and people could see that, hey, these people are special. And so they started envying them, because we'd bring bouncy castle, we'd bring DJ, lots of food and everything. So for that reason, that was very, very, very important to us. And in between, we would still visit, give them educational materials. We helped to set up a vocational center for them. So, so that they were actually doing quite a lot, hairdressing, making slippers and stuff. So we gave them value, and people around, began to change their mindset that these people are actually, there must be a reason why these people are coming here to mingle and to, so that for me was really heartwarming. And then I'm also a founding member of Autism Parents Association International. 5 parents started it. We just got together and said, okay, what can we do? So we started this group, and now we have quite a few members. Well, more of a WhatsApp group. We're still developing because we had a break, sort of a lull in between. But even with this lull, this membership is growing, and we found out that with the WhatsApp chat, we're giving each other so much information. There's so many. It's so valuable because, and that's one thing, for parents, you have to have a support group because you learn from this parent, you learn from that parent. It's really been amazing. So that's what we do. And we also try to raise funds for low-income families for therapy, and also quite a lot of advocacy. So that's that on Golden Hearts, Touching Lives. And then I also got involved with a movement called Finding Normal with Yinka Kindayomi of CDC. And Finding Normal was about telling people, it's an advocacy of telling people that, okay, you say these children with disabilities are not normal. So what do you think is normal? I mean, is it normal to go about, to steal, or to, you look at people who do things like all sorts of things in this world, they do nasty things. And then you look at these people who are just trying to exist. People with disabilities trying to exist, trying to make a way, and you look down on them and you say they are not normal. So is it normal to do what you're doing? So that was that was all about finding normal and trying to tell people that normal is relative. Everything is normal. Everybody has their own normal. Yeah. And then I'm also involved with These Abilities Foundation. I'm a trustee. When they invited me to be a trustee, I was really excited because I'm so impressed with what they're doing. They're trying to do is advocacy for people with disabilities for employment. So you have the skills, but because you have a disability, they don't want to employ you. Meanwhile, it's all you've got everything, which is so wrong. So These Abilities focuses on trying to get employment for people with disabilities in places where they have the skill. We're not asking to take people who are unskilled, but they have the skill. And they also try to train people who don't have a skill to have a skill so that they can earn a living. So that's these abilities. Those are the main ones I'm involved in right now. So now, as a parent, of course, I have 3 children, and my daughter was 8 when I had my last son, who's autistic. And for the first 18 months, everything seemed to be going well. You know, he was very responsive to everything. Hello, you know, he would greet. He had about 20 words in his vocabulary. And then, you know, suddenly everything started going quiet. You know, the words started reducing. And then, you know, I was a bit baffled. And, but I knew that it wasn't a hearing problem, even though we took him for a hearing test. Anyway, finally we got to a child psychologist, a neurologist, who confirmed, said, look, I think he has autism. And for me, I wasn't, because I didn't know that much about autism, I wasn't worried. I was more like, thank God, at least now we know what it is. We can do something about it. So that was my attitude. Unfortunately, that was my husband's attitude. So immediately, even though as I got to know more about autism, I was like, oh my God, what have we got on our plates? But that was it. You know, it was just, okay, what do we do? What do we do? And, you know, we just kept on doing. I mean, we actually got to travel to South Africa, and that's where we started. That was what were the people that he was working with said, okay, why don't you try this place? You know, we got to travel to South Africa, and there he started to learn how to say, to babble, if you like, because there were no words. And when they were telling me, oh, he's babbling, and I'm thinking, okay, then they say, okay, well, babbling is a good sign. And I thought to myself, well, I better just believe what they're saying because they have the experience. Anyway, it hasn't only been about South Africa, so people shouldn't say, oh, we can't go to South Africa. It's not about South Africa. First of all, it's about wanting to do something and, you know, finding a way to do it. So anyway, so that continued, you know, he was babbling, and then he came out with one syllable, and then, you know, maybe the following, maybe some months later, it would be 2 syllables, and then it was, then at a point, he started imitating, because before he wasn't imitating, you know, things like that. And then sentences, and then, you know, we just kept, the improvement was slow, but, you know, was there, and other things were, you know, developing. He's still quite far behind his, you know, his peers, but nevertheless, he has come such a long way because he's reading, he's doing comprehension, you know, and then of course, my great achievement is that, okay, let me go back a bit and say that one thing that's very important is to find out what your child is good at. Look out for any skill, anything that they show interest in. And in my son's case, we're able to find out that he could play basketball. And I'll be honest with you and say, I don't know if he has a passion for basketball, but he played basketball well enough to be picked for the Special Olympics team in 2009. I think it was about 10 then. And I almost went, almost that, 10 years old. I was almost, it was terrible for me because he went away from me to camp in Shagamu for 2 weeks. I was like, I just thought to myself, I can't let this child go. You can't hold on to a child because you're afraid
forever.
Yeah, you can't. So I just, you know, okay, he was with his PE teacher, not even his facilitator. And I thought, oh my God, you know, but I let him go. He came back alive, and he came back with a gold medal, you know, in basketball. So, yeah, that was really exciting. Of course, I went to join him at the Olympics, but he was staying in the campus with them, and I was staying separately. And the fact that he let me go without wanting to cling to me, I said, okay, so he's fine.
Yes.
You know, so we'd meet in the afternoon, and he'll come back, you know. And then after that, so, you know, we started. In fact, I have to say that I was fortunate enough to get fantastic facilitators, because it was the first facilitator, not the first one. I had one who was a bit. He would tell me, "Oh, let's buy Chidibem a bike." Then I said, "Yeah, let's do that." So I got a bike. Chidibem doesn't want to ride, and I don't want to force him. Hello. In my mind, I thought to myself, it's time for you to go. So now I got somebody. Yeah, I mean, what do you mean? So I got somebody who came, and this guy was he kept telling me, Chidibem has learning readiness. He's eager to learn, you know, and he taught him how to ride painstakingly, from a tricycle to a bicycle, you know, running around with him, supporting the bike. And then in 2014, he went and represented Nigeria in cycling, and he won a gold medal, you know. So that's 2 gold medals we have. I'm so fortunate to have been. I'm blessed with. He's still with me. The guy he's been with me for since Children was about 8 or something, and Children is going to be 20 in December. So he's been with me for quite a while. And yeah. And then I have another facilitator who also works with him, and he's been with me since he was in year 6. That's maybe at about 10. So he's also been with me for 10 years. I mean, these people are just amazing and that's another important thing. When you find somebody, you can tell whether they really care, because they would want to discuss it. I think Chideben, outside they'll say, oh, Chideben needs to do this or Chideben needs to do that. What do you think? I think we need to find a way. What is he going to do in future? Showing interest outside, the normal consultation or therapy hours. And you could tell the way they talk about him that they really care. And that's why I say I've been so fortunate. So I've been able to, do other things while keeping an eye, of course, So so he did go to Green Springs, and he did do, I just said, well, just for the sake of it, let him attempt 2 O levels, because the teacher said he could try it. But I really think that while I believe he knew what was expected of him, but he couldn't, he couldn't do the exams. He lacks confidence, which is what we're trying to build on. He thinks that, he's not right, that kind of thing. So that's where my focus is right now, trying to build his confidence. But I know that he has a lot up there, because so much has gone in. And that's one thing that's very important for our children. Because your child is nonverbal, because the child is not saying much, or because they seem to not respond when you're telling them something, don't think that they don't know about learning. Because years later, I just found out that some things that I thought children wasn't listening to, he would just say, things start coming out. So it's important for us to be consistent. And that's one thing I've never let up on. No matter how much is coming out, keep pushing it in. Not stupidly, obviously you have to see how far or what they can absorb, but keep putting in that content and finding a way for them to bring it out, and also finding a way for them to communicate, because like I'm talking now about non-verbal children, is very verbal, but for non-verbal children, it's so important, and you must always talk to them at their level. Don't talk down at them like, oh, because they're not verbal, or because you think that they have it, it's all going on up there, they just can't get it out. And we need to put ourselves in their shoes. How would you feel if somebody locked you up or put you my heart bleeds when I think about those children, especially those who don't know better. Just lock them up, put them away, keep them out of sight of people, because you don't, you're ashamed, or they're just there, they can't do anything. But that is so wrong. They just need a chance to find a way for them to communicate, and find a way to teach them. There's a way, no matter the disability, there's always a way. I found that because I've been in the midst of a school, I must say in South Africa, where the children would come in and they just seem like, they can't do anything, but they found a way to make them start learning.
True.
So that's one thing I want to tell parents out there. There's nothing that your child, don't assume that your child is not listening to what you're saying, doesn't understand, and doesn't feel. Don't, because the things they do to people with disabilities, anyway, that's just another story. So so basically, let me see, where am I going from here? Yeah, you are cueing me in. What should I say? I've lost.
Yeah. I got carried away myself, like, okay, now you need to take them down some notes. Welcome. I'm coming back to you. Well, thank you so much for sharing. I hear you say consistency. I heard, first and foremost, I like the fact that you said, now there's a name to it. Let's now find out how we can help. Because once you found out, and for every parent out there, teachers, once you found out what the name is, then that there's information out there as to how to support that individual. Now, you didn't only find help, you sought, and you said it, that even you were quite lucky to have good facilitators, but then you can tell by yourself when someone comes to you to say, look, I can do this. You want to read their body language, you want to hear them speak to you. As a parent, there's this thing they call mother, well, I won't call mother instinct, but there's a parent instinct where you can say, I might not be as a professional in this field as you, but something is not right. And the truth is, I tell you, especially from what Auntie Angela said, now that there's a name for it, read about it, get information, seek help. And if someone comes to you to say, look, I am a professional in this field, check it in, I'm a Christian, check it in the spirit and be sure that this person is actually saying who he or she is, because that child is yours. There's something about parents and their children. You know your kids, and then if your spirit is saying to you, or there's something that's saying that something is not right, please listen to that. Please do listen, okay? But then you have to guide yourself with a lot of information. And then you also say, be consistent with what you do. Be consistent. Teachers, parents, consistency helps a lot with particularly children with this autism. They like it. You just keep going on. The other day, a parent said to me that, look, my child is beginning to pick words, but the therapist, she comes today, she doesn't come tomorrow. She comes today, she doesn't come after a week. I'm getting worried, and I could feel her pain, because it's only normal. Consistency helps. So as professionals too, let's be as professional as possible. Let integrity be our watchword. Keep to your words. Try, and because there's a lot going on. And like you heard Auntie Angela said, be consistent. To parents, to professionals, to teachers, let's be consistent. She said, find ways. There's a way. There's always a way. Don't tell me, when I speak to people, when I'm doing my training observation, I've done everything. I said, no, I do not believe you've done everything. There is a way. There is a way. Let's find ways to make them communicate. Let's find ways to listen to what they're saying. Their body language speaks a lot to us if you only pay attention. And then you said, communicate to them at their level. Don't talk to a 10-year-old like you're talking to a 2-year-old. I don't talk to a 2-year-old like you're talking to a 10-year-old. Find their level. If they're young, come down to their level, let their face level and everything. Speak language. Don't tell a child, even sometimes, even for neurotypical children, you are telling a child that is not it's unobtainable, unrealistic to a 3-year-old. Like, excuse me. So please, let's learn, and because the truth is, whether we like it or not, first and foremost, they're human beings. Toby is here. She's living with CP. I'm not as fluent as Toby when we got to speak English. Let me give this. So we have our strength. Who would define the norm? Who tells you you're better off? What makes you better? Exactly. Appreciate everyone for who they are. Let's find, I love that little thing we say in Nigeria. Variety is the spice of life. Let's find another person's strength. Even the person's younger than you, older than you, find that strength, lock it up together, and it becomes more beautiful. Let's be open-minded. Let's not be stuck in our ways. Let's be open-minded as teachers, as parents. Let's accept one another. Who would have listen to Auntie Angela 2 times go? How many of us, please, if you are listening, show of hands, have you won any medal before? Show of hands, please. How many of us have masters? This is, I just want us to look at life and say, look, life is beautiful. With or without disability, acceptance is key. Thank you so much, Auntie Angela. Toby, I'm coming to you.
Okay.
You've said so much, and because our topic is advocacy, and I know that it must have been tough in school, elementary school, secondary school, university, and then your second master's, and you're going to break it into 2, because I know you did the master's in the UK. Now let's come down from your BSc downwards. How was advocacy like for you? The things you needed, your accommodation, and all of that. What was it like? And the truth is that I don't like us, I like to be real on this show. It's called Finding Help. So people are looking, Auntie Angela was able to go to South Africa. If I'm not able to, and she already said, look, you don't have to go to South Africa. Understand and be willing. Help will come. Speak out. Your parents, she's in different parent forum. So tell us how it is. Tell us the good and the bad, so that anyone that needs to pick will pick what it says in what you're saying. Please strike a balance. Thank you.
So let's start from primary school. And again, see, a child in primary school cannot advocate for themselves. Sorry. So as a parent, when I was going to go into school, I was very blessed. I was very blessed that my school owner was my first advocate. He basically said to my parents, bring her to me and you can go. Just bring her to me. This child, because my mom kept saying, you don't understand. She's not able to sit. She's not able to use her hands. The man said, is she, so what is she able to do? The only thing she does is talk. She talks a lot. She can report everybody. The man said, oh, that's all I need. I mean, that's all I need. And that was the truth. That was my job at the time. I was just the family reporter. I would just basically run tape. Once an adult entered the house, this person did this, person that. Man said, look, if she can do all this, bring her to me and I will educate her. I'm not going to let you even waste this brain. So that was my first advocate, right? But then going forward, after my parents saw what was possible, then my mom became, she was after some time, it actually became a little bit embarrassing. My mom was, like, she was constantly in my school. Like, it was, if I came home and a teacher had maybe marked me down for bad handwriting, say for instance, because I couldn't use my hands and I was just learning to write. So of course, the handwriting wasn't really clear. So maybe a teacher marks me down for bad handwriting, and my mom then reads it. I realized I wrote the right answer. She's bringing that note to school by herself to say, "Excuse me, Miss so and so. Something's going on here. I mean, you're marking my daughter wrongly or something she got right." And it's just like, I can't read it. Well, ask her. Don't come and assume that she cannot. She doesn't know the content. And so one of the things my mom would do every step of the way was to not wait till we had a problem. So let me give you an example. When I was in, I think, what we call year 1 today, one of the problems was I would come home and my mom as an adult reading my homework would not make sense. As in, the homework I wrote down would not make sense to her. And then I'll be insisting that that's what the teacher wrote on the board. But then she's an adult, she's thinking, the teacher could not write it. It doesn't make any sense. But man, I'll be like, Mommy, that's what the teacher wrote. So she said, okay, after we went back and forth about it for like a week, she said, you know what, I don't know where this is coming from. So here's what she started doing. She started showing up in school about 30 minutes before closing time, knowing that that's the time that the teacher's probably going to write all of the homework on the board and then have us copy it into our notes, right? So she would basically stand behind the window, copy her own version of the homework. Don't forget, I'm in class, I'm copying my own version. When we now get home, I decided to do the homework. She says, bring out your books. I bring out my book. Obviously, there are going to be gaps, right? So she's then going to bring out her own version and say, how didn't you see this? And so for a while, she thought it was, you don't pay attention. And so typical Nigerian mother, she spanked me a little bit until I had an appointment with, I think, my pediatrician. And then she mentioned, she was like, this girl doesn't pay attention to anything. She's always writing rubbish. She would just write like half of the homework. She's always skipping stuff. So the pediatrician said, wait a minute. Your child has a cerebral palsy diagnosis. My mom said, yes. What has that got to do with anything? The man said, wait, let me check something. So he checks my eyes and then he goes, she has slow eye movements. It's not her fault. Her eyes are literally skipping over line. She's not doing this thing deliberately. It's a CP thing. Her eyes are skipping over lines. She's not realizing that she's actually not writing those things because in her mind, those lines don't exist. So at that point, my mom was like, okay. So now knowing that, she could take that information back to my teacher to say, so here's what we've discovered. So here's what we're going to need. Can you paste like the homework in her book? I mean, she will still write it, don't get me wrong. She will write it. No, she must write it too. But can you like paste the correct version in her book anyway? So that we have the correct version work with at home. So that way, I mean, every step of the way, I was getting that level of advocacy from home. And so when you watch that as a child, what it does is that it teaches you how to basically stand up for what you need as you grow older.
Mhm.
I mean, as I grew older, I mean, my classmates taught me how to walk. So yeah, we threw away the crutches eventually. And it got to a point where I could basically say to teachers, I'm not going to be able to write that fast. So I'm going to have to complete my note after class, and then teachers would be like, okay, that's fine. And I carried this all the way into secondary school. When I moved schools, I moved to a Lagos State public school. And I remember going to a public school and there were 92 of us in my class. So it was very easy for the teacher to lose me because there were 92 of us in one class. Not the Don't get me wrong, this is not the set though. This is just one arm, like SS1D had 92 students. I was very easy to lose. But at that point, it wasn't even, my advocacy wasn't really the teachers at this point. I had learned to accommodate my own needs. I wasn't asking anybody to accommodate them for me. It was really me knowing what to ask for. So say for instance, we were doing math and we're doing, okay, so this is the one that happened all the time. Every time we needed to do a graph, we all know graphs, right? So you plot the graph and then you join your graph, right? Now, I could plot a graph, but I can't join a graph to save my life because slow eye movement, remember?
Yeah.
So, so I can't join a graph to save my life. So before we even start the graph lesson, I've raised up my hand to say, I need to ask you something. I need to tell you something, sir or ma. I'm going to be needing help to join my graph. Here is why. So do I have permission to ask so person to join my graph anytime I need to join my graph? So the teacher knows, oh, she's going to need help to join her graph. So if we're in the middle of a classwork or a test and he sees my graph sheet with my receipt mate, he knows she already asked before the lesson even started. So I already know, okay, I'm going to need this accommodation. So I need to ask for it. So I asked for it. When I was in secondary school and I needed to take breaks during the day to go to the sick bay to stretch my leg, my mom basically brought a doctor's notes to school to show them that, look, she needs this break. And the school was willing to say, not a problem, we will let her go during break. I mean, she can use her break time for that. So during break, it didn't matter if a teacher wanted to use her break time. Sorry, I'm going to have to miss your class because I already have this note that says I can go to the sick bay during break to do my stretches. So it was about that. It's about using what's available to you. If you grew up in Lagos, I grew up in Abule, but I went to schools in Agege. So it's not like, I didn't go to fancy schools. I went to schools in Agege, grew up in Abule, so it was basically using what was available. But it started with being taught. And so I need to say this. I need to say this to parents, and I beg you, because you're not going to be here forever. So it's not about being morbid or anything. You're not going to be here forever. So the earlier you teach your children to speak up for themselves, but if they cannot speak up for themselves if they don't understand what to ask for. So if they don't even understand what's going on, if you've always shrouded their condition in mystery, you're not helping your child. So for the parent, first seek knowledge so that and it's not just for you, so that you can pass it on to your child so that they can help themselves. My very close friends know. I will tell you point blank what I need. I mean, Lola, you see me do this. I mean, I'm gonna be like, Lola, we can't walk there because sorry, stairs ahead. Can we find an addition? Can we find a separate entrance? Because not gonna work. I learned how to do this very early. Because every time that we were doing anything that wasn't going to work for me, I learned to speak up to say, this isn't working because ABC. And I did that all the way. And when people say, oh, Nigerian exams don't give accommodations, I'm like, in which Nigeria? The same one I grew up in. Sorry, I've been asking for accommodation since common entrance. When I was going to write common entrance in primary 6, that time common entrance was still compulsory. See, it was the definition of whether you're going to secondary school or not. Common entrance are G2 in this Lagos. My friend, common entrance was life. I was going to write common entrance. We got to the center. In short, before when we're filling the form, there's a box there that says any disability. You tick yes, you describe. We described disability in the box. Then they asked what we need. My mom said extra time because my daughter writes slowly. Okay, not a problem. We got to the center. My mom went to find the supervisor that was supervising the exam to say, look, I have a daughter writing this exam. She has the capacity to write this exam, but she's going to need extra time because A, B, C, D. And then she shows it. I mean, the good thing with CP is so obvious, right? Like you can't miss it. Now, if your child has an invisible disability, please carry photocopies of your child's medical records everywhere. As in, even as an adult, I have photocopies of my medical records. It's just the fact that CP is something that you can't, I mean, it's right in your face, right? But even with that, I have photocopies of my medical records every single place I go so that you know that it's there. And so the man said, oh, now that you say it, I think that it mentions that I have a student on my file that needs additional time. And then he looks through the list, looks at my name. So when we sit in to write the exam, comes on my sheet and writes +1R. This was as far back as what, 95, 94. I ended up not needing the 1 hour really. I finished the exam in record time. My mom was looking at me like, are you sure you wrote with illegible handwriting that exam? I said, wait, nah. That's self-fit. Calm down first. You need to calm down. Eventually, of course, I passed the exam. I went to secondary school. It was time to, I mean, by the time I was writing junior WAEC, come on now. I used to this thing. Already, the school already even told, I mean, I went to an inclusive school at the time. So they already told them at junior WAEC level, come, we have students with disabilities taking this exam. This one is going to need additional time. This one is going to need a scribe. This one is going to need someone to sit by how to read. So every accommodation we needed was given, and we were able to take those exams. Again, they gave me the extra time. I don't need the share, but then pass the exam. Then it was time for WAEC. In that my Gbogbo school that I went, there were 700 of us writing WAEC. Jesus Christ. So it was very easy, but it would be like, we don't have time for any nonsense accommodation in this exam because you are too many. Guess what? As we were entering the exam, that's why the fact that when we filled the WAEC form, because when people tell me accommodations don't happen in Nigeria, I'm like, I don't understand which Nigeria you're talking about. On all of these external exams form, they ask if the candidate has a disability. Take it and then explain it. And then make sure that the day of the exam, you're on hand to also explain it. Immediately we sat down and the supervisor came and started, doing his own speech of how you are not supposed to cheat, and if you cheat, all the things that will happen to you for cheating. My hand went up. Sir, we are writing maths. Just in case you were not aware, I have a disability that would not allow me to join graph. I'm going to need the person next to join my graph. What's the exam number? He looks. Oh, you are one of them. Here we go. Additional time goes on all my papers again. I end up not needing them. But hey, my seat may join my graph. My seat may label my biology practical because I cannot label I can't even draw, but I can try to make something look like it's something. But I can't label it. So my seat may label my biology practical, join my graph. But all of this will only happen if we will first empower our kids to know what's available. And let me shock you, by the time I was writing WAEC, my mom was not there to do this running around anymore. I had to be the voice for myself to go and
the voice from the onset.
I had to be the voice for myself to say I need this, and that worked. I mean, and then we went on to write JAM. So I'm breaking this down for the Nigerian audience because I know
very important. Yes, very, very.
Okay. Then I went on to write JAM. You see, that time they had not started the CBT something, so it was back in the day where you had to shade. Remember JAM in those days now? Then they would type where JAM was in type, so type X, then type so that you. As I got to my JAM center, and the good thing I get there early because I know that my case is different. Let's be very. There's no need to be getting there 2 minutes to exam time. You have special considerations. So I get there early. I settle in. Once the supervisor comes in, I raise my hand. Here is what is going to happen. This young woman is going to need some additional time. The guy looks at my form. Again, JAMB will ask, does the candidate have a disability? I am not shy to tick yes, I write Cerebral Palsy and explain my needs there. But just in case as the supervisor was coming, he forgot his form, I'm going to raise up my hand and say, sir, just need to notify you that I have a disability that makes it, difficult for me to write fast. So I'm going to need additional time, blah, 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 blah. Well, you see that folder that I'm using to carry on my exam slip, everything. he also carries a photocopy of my medical report just in case he still cannot see, because we're Nigerians, you know. And right here, just in case you need proof that I do need this thing. So that was me. And then going into uni, I remember when I was going into uni to study law, it was, I usually say I got tired. By the time I got to university, I got tired of defending my right to exist in spaces, because I then realized how much of a low expectation that Nigerian society had for people with disabilities. So every time I showed up in a space where I wasn't expected to perform in, I had to defend my right to be in that space. So imagine if I was not raised in a house that taught me that I was valuable, I would have backed down. Because I remember going into uni to study law, and I remember the day that we had written the exam, had passed. This one, my dad was with me, so my dad had basically told them, oh, his child has special needs, blah, blah, blah. They gave me, I didn't even need the additional time. I passed the exam, and I was to do the interview. And I remember walking into the interview room. I've told the story a million times. And there were 4 men sitting down. And you could see the shock on their faces immediately I walked in. Like I said, cerebral palsy is not, you can't hide it. It's right there. The shock on their faces. And the guy looks at me and then he says, what's your name? And I tell him, and then he looks and he goes, wait, you want to study law? And I'm like, yes. He's like, I really don't think you should come here, because this school is not made for people like you. I'm like, I do not understand what that means. He says, well, I believe that you're going to waste your parents' money, so don't bother coming. I was like, what? And then I look him straight in the face and say, watch me last 5 years. I mean, I think that stopped him in his tracks. I didn't think he had ever met a teenager that old. So he says, the good thing you have going for you is that your grades are good. So I don't have a legal reason to withhold admission. So I will give you an admission letter, but I will never forget this. I will advise you not to come. I said, advice noted. He said to me, he said, you're wearing jeans. Are you able to wear skirts? I said, look, I will wear what is needed to be worn when it's needed to be worn. You know. And then he gives me the admission letter. I take the admission letter. I don't tell my dad any of this. And my dad's excited. Yay, my sister got into uni. But I didn't tell him any of that because I knew that I was in a school where I would have to defend my right to exist in spaces. But it was okay. I already had a foundation of self-advocacy. I already knew how to demand in a respectful way, really, because we're African and everything can be conceived as rude.
Yeah.
So I've learned how to, basically ask for what I deserve and need in a respectful manner. So when I did get into uni, and it was first, I had fellow students who did not think that I deserved to be in a university with them. and they told me that to my face multiple times. Hey, I have a background in self-advocacy. So I basically take it as an opportunity to school them, because I realize that if people don't know better, they can't do better. A lot of them are coming from an environment that stigmatizes people with disabilities, right? They've never met somebody with a disability that's smart enough to be in a university. Hey, maybe this is going to be their first chance of seeing it. And I might as well give them a good show, right? So here we go. I remember spending practically my first year just defending my right to exist in that space. Until the end of first year, and then my first year results showed what I could do. All my lecturers kind of were looking at me like, yeah, let's see her drop out. And I was like, these guys do not know who they're playing me right now. Because the good thing is, when you write exams in uni, you don't write your name, you only write your matric number, right?
Matric number, yes.
So
Sure.
they mark, so it's kind of like blind marking. So they couldn't really tell who was scoring those grades until the results came out. But if I didn't have a background of self-advocacy, oh shoot, I would have, trust me, I'd have dropped out of uni.
Wow.
Because it was so hard.
I can imagine.
It was hard.
Imagine, Toby.
Imagine coming out of your room, right? You're coming out of your room. If it's a 5-man room, you're coming out of your room to walk towards the class area, and you see fellow girls. This is girls stuff. Basically jumping out of their rooms in towels and night dresses, and basically lining the streets and staring. and then the passing comments. Basically, very, very rude, inane
I hope
comments.
people are listening. I mean, this is from someone who had gone through all of this. And
So
so I'm going to ask you to hold on a bit because I know
yeah,
this was how your next experience was, but you actually went for a second degree. And you're going to
yes,
tell us the difference because I know that you and I have spoken, but I wanted people to hear you speak. I'm going to ask you to stop a bit because I'm going to go to Aunt Angela, but I wanted to
yeah,
highlight a few things you said. And why I'm happy is that we have parents listening to us, we have educators listening to us, we have individuals with disabilities listening to us themselves too, and we have parents who have children who are not even as probably younger than you, who are not even in elementary school, who are not in school yet. And I believe they are picking the nugget. They are looking and look, I have work to do. If Toby can do it, if Toby's parent can do it, if Aunt Angela can do it, then it is possible. And that's the whole essence of finding out with special needs. You and I thank God for what you're doing with let's say about kids, let's say kids learn. And I know there's no way you would have done that if you had not gone through what you went through and how you
of
advocated for
course,
yourself. And I
of
believe
course.
that's one. I believe you can tell me, correct me if I'm wrong. But because I'm a teacher, I need to put this out there. I've observed teachers, and not most of the things you've said today is not only friends or fellow students that do that to you, even
Of
teachers
course.
themselves.
Yeah,
We forget
lecturers
the
did
place
it.
of confidentiality. We forgot the place that we are parents to these children also. We are the first that first go bad mouthing them. Look at that child. Look at this. A child, I mean, for what to be said, accommodation, universal design for learning, multiple means of presentation. Give them opportunity. If a child cannot learn the way you teach the way the child will learn. And let me tell you
Yeah.
something. I remember, and I wanted to say this when Toby was talking. It had never crossed my mind before. I started using my glasses when I was in GS3, after my GS2 junior WAEC. And when Toby said something, and she did a WAEC around 19, and it just struck me. And I'm like, hold on. I remember that when I was writing my WAEC, I hadn't started wearing my glasses, but that particular day, tears were having English or so. Tears were dropping my eye. I was having
Oh,
headache. I didn't even know it was a glasses thing. But you know what?
headache.
You know what happened? I was not a special needs student, nothing. I was not identified as one. But I had teachers who had a heart for what they do. They were empathetic, not because I didn't have, they just knew that this girl had something to offer. Guess what? I
Mm.
didn't even know what accommodation was then. 93. I didn't know what it was, and they said, you know what? Get someone to read this thing to her. Once she mentions the answer, write it out for her.
Let it
Years back,
go.
over 30 years or there, I mean, thereabouts. And I'm like,
Thank you.
really? There was no accommodation. It's the heart that matters. The heart for empathy. As teachers, we are carers. As human beings, we need to let love lead us. And for the school owners, for teachers that say why does not give accommodation, look, it's a
You
battle that
lie.
you need to fight. You need to go out there and speak on behalf. I'll tell you another. I was listening to a parent in the UK a while ago, and how tough it is even to get that document for a child, especially this is actually the UK. She said a particular teacher took it upon herself, and every time they gather, they have this hearing they have for children with special and how they will qualify and have that the IEP. I know they don't call IEP in the
Yeah.
UK, and every she kept on mentioning this child name. A teacher took it upon herself. She went for that meeting, mentioning that name to the council. Till when it was time to give that child admission without even the IEP, the name rang a bell. So even if you feel that it's so tough, before that you're a school owner, you're a teacher, speak, advocate, keep speaking, keep speaking. They will listen, but your heart matters a lot. I'll just rest the case here because I'm thinking there was no word called accommodation then,
Yeah.
But when you speak out, don't keep quiet. Even as a teacher, please. There's something called confidence. Don't speak about that child in a negative, derogatory way because naturally everybody else will pick it up. The
Right.
friends will pick it up, the other teachers will pick it
True.
up. And that's why we always do the person first, the child first, because once you think cerebral palsy, once you think autism, you're thinking there's no way. And that is not what we are called to do. Thank you
True.
so much, Toby, for sharing that. You will take it from there to when you went abroad and how accommodation worked for you, even as an adult. Because I was an
Yeah.
international student, and because of course, I did my first degree in Nigeria. Going to the US, they just felt I needed support, and there was a place support in the university masters. There was a center for support.
Oh yeah.
And Angela, we're coming to you. And for you, I know yours is it's a bit different from Toby's case, Toby's situation and all that. Yours is autism. Could you tell us what were the areas of strength and weaknesses for Chidubem? And then how were you able, was it tough for you to advocate? Because did you have to go to school to write your notes, the note, or to Chidubem's notes? Did you have to, what did you have to do? And what did you think, what was it that helped you when you talk about the school? I know you said Grange, and I know they do a fantastic job in Grange. Were the teachers accommodated beyond the facilitator? Were they open to you? What were those things that helped you to accommodate better for Chidubem?
Well, I would say, Toby, I mean, impressive what you've achieved so far. And there's so many things I've made note of, because this is what parents need to hear. I mean, first of all, like you said, one teacher said, bring her to me. That's the kind of attitude we need from schools. Take it as a challenge.
Yeah.
Just have it in your heart to want to, show people that this is what I can do. I brought this out of this child, rather than, rejecting a child. Anyway, for me, it's Green Springs we went to, actually. And right from the start, right from the get-go, Mrs. Kweki, the teacher, she always had this thing about special needs, because right from inception, she had a small, class called, what's it called? I've forgotten anyway. But people used to look at that side, oh yeah, you're going to special class. She used to call it special class. So in those days, special class, you're going to special. I don't want to go to special class, the other students for reinforcement or anything like that. They kind of looked down on it. That wasn't Mrs. Quake's philosophy, but the teachers, I think some of them didn't quite, that place. But there was a way, for me, I just made sure that when my son got to a stage where he had to start going to learning support, it's not called learning support, I was right behind him. I interacted with the teachers. I said, look, I made sure you just have to be in their faces. You have to be in their faces to make sure that they are doing what they need to do for your child to progress, and they're not discriminating against him. We kind of managed through primary school, and then secondary school, it was a different thing. Nowadays, some of the teachers, well, one or two teachers in particular, I think because they didn't understand, they now said, oh, he can't do this, he's disrupting the class. Meanwhile, he had a facilitator there. So I went to the school, I said, I'm sorry. I think at a point, one of the teachers said to me, she said, well, I'm sorry, I don't think, I hear you go to South Africa sometimes. I think maybe you might have to find another school. I said, I'm not going anywhere. The law says that every school should be accommodated to take care of children with any form of disability. I said, I'm not going anywhere. That I know, that we've been in this school since he was 18 months when he joined the school. Wow. At this time, he was about 11. Yeah, and my children have been there since 1995. I said, wow. I've served this school, I've been on the PTA, and you're telling me I have to take my child. I said, I'm not going anywhere. So when I spoke to Mrs. Quake, she was like, no, I shouldn't worry. She spoke to them that, no, Mrs. Moore is not going anywhere. That kind of thing. So, and then suddenly when she turned 60 and they wanted to give her a gift, it was the learning support unit. They made up a sensory room, really well equipped. And this was what the PTA gave to her for her 60th birthday, to show you how things had changed. They knew that this was important to her. And of course, now the special learning support became a special place to go to. And best of all, they now named it the Chidubem. They named it after my son. The room there on the plaque, So, so I had to be in their faces. I was there every morning. I used to go to school with them every morning. Okay, what's this? What is he doing? Just to make sure that you cannot drop them and leave. You have to make sure that you know what they're doing, to make sure that your child is getting value, is able to learn. So, like Toby said, her mom played that part, and when she could take over self-advocacy by showing her that she was valuable, and that's what we need to show our children. When you show them that kind of love and support them at home and treat them, in fact, it's like in my household, everybody knows, from the gate man to the whatever, they have that thing for my son, because they can see the way, we are with him. And so my son has that confidence that, if you're not looking at him, if you're looking at him one way, he doesn't even notice, because he's full of him. Well, not full of himself, but he values himself. And like Toby said, the way I dress my son up, I make sure if I don't go, when I see when I see something, I don't look at the value. I say, this looks good on, this will look good on Chidubem. And then I
It
look at the value
deserves it.
later. But
Oh,
for me, he has to have the best. So
Like, yeah.
parents, we have to bring our children out and show the people they have a right to be everywhere. That's what I told them in school. I said, my son has a right to be here. He has a right to education. You can't tell me that I have to take him abroad. Which kind of abroad? He's a Nigerian citizen,
Exactly.
So we have to, let them know that our children have a right to be everywhere that they know that they are, whether they are tantrum and everything. You try use that chance to explain to them, oh, he has this thing, it's a time my son goes everywhere. There's no one that you can't go to this house, you can't go to this, but he goes to everybody's house, goes to the shops, he may have his funny restaurant, everything, he may have his funny ways, but people learn that that's the way people will learn that people are different. And then when you treat them outside, like I always say that when he does something wrong, you correct him, but you correct him nicely, not like you don't get angry and you just say, look, calm down. And when people see you correcting them with love, then they now look at them in a different way. So as parents, we have to make sure that we show people how to treat our children, because if you dismiss them in public or tell them off in a nasty way, then people will look down at them. But the way I treat my son, nobody will even think, nobody will even imagine of treating him in a different way. So that's how it was for me. It's been I walk around with him. If I walk around with pride, with arrogance of say,
yeah, I know that arrogance.
And we are here, and we're not going anywhere. We're not going anywhere. So
wow.
My dad, I think my dad has that same. My dad has that arrogance to the point where it's almost embarrassing. So my dad is the person who would. I think I was like maybe like the fact that I even got into uni. The whole world they did not hear a word. It was everywhere we went. My dad would go like, "Oh, so have you met my lawyer? You haven't? Like, you haven't? Oh my God, so come here. Oh, so as I was saying, I'm like, I'm just like 100 level. Can you not be telling me?
Thank God for parents like that.
To be self-developed swagger. Imagine she's swagger
everywhere.
When they're looking at your child, so teach them to like
wow.
So
I tell you, I was gonna come to you and say, tell us about social gathering, and you actually did somehow. You were just hitting the nail on the head. But I wanted you to tell us how he's a teenager. He would want to go for parties like his mates. How is it socializing? How were you able to? Do you at the moment just say, what, if he does this? I wanted to just give us a scenario, something that people can relate with when it comes to social gathering, even the religious homes. How were you able to advocate for him? Like practical tips, because at some point people would say things. How just give us like one or two examples, probably when you went for social gathering, because I know that I see you when you are doing any of your things. I follow you, and I'm like, really, I could actually almost tell which is, when everyone sits down there. So for those parents, I think, how did she do it? How was she able to? Because a lot of parents don't take the children for social gathering, they don't take them to church. I am telling you from parents who have told me, church said to them, don't bring your child or sit outside in the car with your child, and at some point they are frustrated. Keep that person's strength, give them encouragement. Let us hear from you how you're able to do. Those two areas, how were you able to advocate for Chidubem?
Okay, first of all, let me just go back a bit. When he was in year 10 and year 11, the teachers there were wonderful, because they now said, look, this is Chidubem, this is how he is, this is what, and they always, tried to support him. When it was time for lunch, okay, Chidubem, let's go, So when they have like the dining, special dining, where they have like their disco, the girls will, especially the girls, they really look out for him, and my son can't dance, but he loves to dance. So, he'd be jumping and whatever. But, they would just be there and, give him his space. But, I mentioned that, so even in social gatherings now, I've been out with Chidubem. Oh my gosh, my son he's even controlling himself. Once he hears that music, hey, up and down, jumping. So everybody will notice. So I just try to say, Chidubem, I try and guide him, look, this is how you do it. This is how you do it, Chidubem, calm down. I don't stop sticking him anywhere because of that. I think now he's getting the idea that because my daughter's wedding, he sat down throughout. because I wasn't sitting, but I noticed I didn't see him. Sat down throughout. So when we said, okay, Chidubem, come. This was toward the end of the wedding. Come this way. And where everybody was kind of relaxed and dancing. He's dancing, yeah. So really, it's what I try to do is when he's out there, and he's doing that, and I try to just calm down, gently. So because people can see me doing that, okay, yeah, he's overdoing it a bit, but I'm just saying, oh yeah, do this way, do it this way, that kind of. So that's the way, we handle it in gatherings, and also. So he's not something we're still trying to work on. To be honest, he's not. How do I put it now? That thing of being sociable, interacting with people. He's still a bit reserved. So that's one thing I'm really, really working on at the moment. So going to parties with friends has not really arisen. It's only when he was in school he goes to parties with us. That's the kind of family gatherings or friends where we're going out for parties with friends. And another thing I have to say is that there's nobody that has told us not to come to their house because of children. Because I think it's, like I said, it's the way you treat your child. Because if anybody said that, I'll be like, whatever, get lost. You don't. You're not worth.
That's the dog.
You're lost.
So I forgot what I'm saying now. But anyway,
religious homes. How were you able to? Does he go to church with you? What was the reaction at first, and how were you able to advocate for him?
Well, we try to stay at the back when we do go to church. We try to stay at the back, and so he's he might want to do his dance or whatever, but as he's at the back, but sometimes people say, oh, leave him, kind of thing. They would ask us to leave him, so reactions, I think, like I said, because a lot of people know about him, and especially when they know me and they know him, they're like, oh, hello, they try to greet him and stuff like that. So it's all about the parents. It's all about how you bring your child out and make, and tell them, this is my child, this is how he is, and he's here to stay. He's not going anywhere. He's not going this, and he has a right to be here. As long as he's not going and slapping people about and, running up and down and scattering, hair. Because it's also up to a parent. As a parent, I always try to help him to control himself. Just try and, okay, stay calm. It's not always, it's not always, it might not always be easy. I'm trying to look at things from other people's point of view, because some children you get more frustrated than others. But I think you need to sort of let the church or let everyone, this is how my child is. This is the kind of, but it's and even the church, please, churches, you be a house of God, and everybody is God's creation. So I don't even understand a church that will reject children with disabilities.
And let's not enter that church matter.
In fact, let's
happening.
Because that's not a real church. That's not a real church. I hope some people are listening to me. That's not a real church, okay? Okay. Yeah, because God, that's not God's plan. God made everybody. Excuse me. So, you just have to take your child there. Take your child out. Maybe if the child is a bit restless, you can stay towards the back so that the child has a bit of space to move. I have a friend in South Africa. They have a little room with glass, so you can see, with doors, where they allow the children with special needs and their parents to sit. So children can be doing up and down, but you're hearing the service and everything. And it's a great arrangement, You're part of the service, you're part of the church.
Yes, true. I know the church is that too.
That's another thing they can do, instead of keeping them apart from, so that the child can be free. But then again, they're also getting to hear the word and stuff like that. Yeah.
Thank you so much. You said quite a lot of things, and when you were speaking, I just said, even if the church does not, every one of us, we all have a part to play. So if I was in any church like that, I would speak up. We all have to advocate for these children, because some parents, and one thing you did that I'm picking. I mean, I've been watching, following you, and all that you do. One thing that I know makes it easier make people accept you and your child is that you never hid anything about your child. I mean, there's no autism awareness. I don't see you. I mean, you always so people already knew. They already know. It wasn't a matter of, you never spoke about that child. It takes you yourself showing off your child for the world to see, and then accept your child. But if you are the type that hide the child and you're shy, you're thinking, why me, and all of that, which of course I'm sure everyone went to that stage, but get to that place of acceptance and then finding meaning, finding expression, speaking for your child. Toby will not be where she is now if her parent had eaten her. Toby will not be where she is if she didn't get that voice which she acquired about herself from her family, from her home. And of course, I mean, Toby, I don't think you'll be able to tell us the issue of church because you are well accepted. We see the work you're doing in church and all of that, and I'm sure you don't even keep quiet about. And I'm sure that most kids with disability in your church are enjoying the benefits of you being there.
Yeah, but it took a lot of work to get there.
Thank you for sharing those. Toby, yes.
Yeah, it took a lot of work to get to acceptance in church as well. I mean, I think I've told this story where the church basically told me that I needed to go and increase my faith so I could receive my healing.
Tell me about it. Oh.
This was like a to my face. This was not even they were gossiping or something. This was a church leaders call you into a meeting and say to you to your face, my friend, you need to go and increase your faith so that you can receive your healing. It was, I mean, I was an adult at this time. And so to backtrack, I mean, I grew up in church.
That's also the issue of stigmatization. The Bible, remember that part of the black guy, and you're like, who sinned? I mean, who are you to be the judge? Who are you to tell God what? And we're not going to talk about church. We're not even preaching today, but can we just learn to accept people for who they are?
I mean, and that's the thing. That's why I realized it's a human problem. See, this whole discrimination thing is a human problem. So it's because it's humans that make up, environment, societies, humans that make up churches, make up schools, make up workplaces. So as long as humans, you don't come to that place of acceptance. And even with parents, because when you see parents who hide their children, 80% of the time it's a question of shame. Because it's shame culture. Because we live it or not, we live in shame culture.
Yeah.
Keep shame somebody about. So so not everybody has the tenacity to deal with shame and be like, shame me, I don't care. I mean, some of us have become shameless, like we can't be bothered. But not everybody has gotten.
Can I just tell you one thing? If I forget this thing, I want everyone listening now. You're going to type it out. I want you also to pledge. Everyone begin to type now. I will not keep quiet no more. Be it in church, wherever I find myself, I will advocate for every individual living with disability. I want also to type if you're here, and that is we're going to hold you responsible. You know what? I might not be able to follow you everywhere, but if you know you're not going to do it, please do not type it. But if you're here with us, register your presence by letting us know that wherever you find yourself, you will keep speaking and advocating for individuals with disability. I want to start. If you're part of us here and you are one of us, please type that out and ensure henceforth you don't keep quiet. You don't keep quiet. Hashtag I will not keep quiet. Please, I want to see that. If you're truly with us, begin to type that now. Hashtag I will not keep quiet. We can't keep doing this. Because I always say to people, it might not concern you right now, but when you see evil going on and you keep quiet, you are worse off than the perpetrator. And you might think it's not you right now. You might think it's not you. Guess what? News flash. Disability can happen at any time. So hashtag I will not keep quiet.
Exactly.
Hashtag I will not keep quiet. Thank you, everyone. Toby, please go on.
Yeah, so as I was saying, because we live in shame culture, right, where we shame people for things, we're very big with shame, right? Shame is such a thing with us in Africa. We shame people. It's always about we're so focused on difference that it becomes a thing of shame. And because of that, a lot of parents are living in shame. So when you talk about parents hiding their children, understand that it starts from a shame culture.
Mm-hmm.
Because I mean, I've listened a lot of the times because I listen to parents. I mean, I've listened to over 500 parents talk, and there's something you hear all the time when you say, "Oh, you need to take your child out more." You'll be like, "I don't have this, I don't have that." But underneath the I don't have this, I don't have that is I don't want people to look at me funny before they call me the child of the parent of a this, the parent of a that. So until parents really, realize that you cannot, because, and you know the thing, if as a parent you are ashamed of your child is going to inherit shame.
Simple.
Yes.
So you're going to end up with a child that cannot advocate for themselves because they've inherited shame from you.
And you won't always be around.
You've taught them, because you have now taught them by your behavior that what they should feel ashamed of who they are.
Exactly.
Right? So it's so when I meet adults, when I meet a lot of adults, when I meet adults with disabilities who have low self-esteem, who have zero self-advocacy skills, what I see is an adult that inherited a shame culture. Because either the parents didn't know better, or they were so focused on what society would say that they forgot to focus on the child that they chose to bring into the world. Because and forgive me, but I know that this is not conventional beliefs, but forgive me, but I like to say that having a child is not an emergency. I've never had kids, but my siblings tell me it takes 10 months. 10 long, like according to my sister, 10 long months.
Long indeed.
That's how my sister likes to say it. She's done it 3 times over. She likes to repeat 10 long months. And if it takes 10 long months, you made a choice to have a child. And if you made a choice to have a child, you see, unfortunately, that's the kind of, what we call, what's it called now? It's the biggest blind date of all, because you really don't get to choose what you get. Like when you do Secret Santa, having a child is like the biggest Secret Santa of all, because you have absolutely no clue what's in that package until you get it. So when you're making the choice to get into the process of acquiring that package, be ready for whatever comes with it, so that you don't then bequeath to your child a shame culture because this was not what I planned for. Because I hear it all the time and it pisses me off. Because I'm like, listen, you made a choice to have a child. It is the biggest Secret Santa of all. Whatever you get in Secret Santa is what you get. You can't say I don't like it. You Secret Santa, the minute you chose to play.
Absolutely.
What you get is what
like,
you get.
just before we started, right? I was thinking of this. I don't know if you've read Welcome to Holland by Emily Kingsley, and she described it so perfectly. I'm going to type out that right now. Welcome to Holland. I want everyone watching and listening who has not watched it to watch it. You will really understand what it means to have a child, with special needs and what the parents are going through. And empathy will follow you, really. It will just, if you've not read it, if you've not read that poem, you need to, everyone needs to, especially if you're in this field, you need to. So, but I don't want us to go too far away from your story. But I wanted us to compare, each time I find out with special needs, I want to compare your struggles, all those years, and then having to go to the UK. How was advocacy like for you? Did you have to do as much work, or was it like it was already? Tell us what the difference was and how it worked for you.
It was interesting. First of all, even the application process, you could tell that, a society that knows what they're doing knows what they're doing. First of all, even just filling the application process, it was so easy. I literally just got on school websites, filled applications, and then the applications basically, if it was too long, I could just activate screen readers and have the screen reader read the question to me. I could basically use voice to text to fill in my application, right? And the minute I submitted my application and filled in the disability information, I then got another, I still have, I was showing it to my cousin. It was almost a 15-page document that I had to fill out about my disability information. This, understand something, I haven't gotten admission. Let's be clear. They've never offered me admission. I just filled form to say, I think I want to go to your school. They got tired of actually doing that with all the schools I applied for, because I was now filling the whole disability information for all the schools. And then the minute that they offered me provisional admission for my master's, they sent me another set of forms about what accommodations would I need in the classroom, What accommodations would I need in the hostels? Where was I planning to live? What kind of accommodation would I need? Oh, would I need one-on-one support? So this is so person from disabilities office. They would be getting in touch with me. And at some point, I was like, "You calm down. I'm bloody Nigerian, nah. It's not that. I mean, I went to school in Nigeria. I didn't even have water. I'm not that. You should make this too. Don't make it too fancy. It's not that.
It just shows you the value they place on education and even individuals with disability. Some people say, oh, they overdo it, but they believe everyone can learn.
Yes.
Give everyone a chance. And I wanted to speak about it because I know there are a lot of school owners here, there are a lot of teachers here. Understand that, look, for any individual with disability to learn in that environment, you must be open to accommodation. You must understand them. They're asking you those questions. What will you need? What can we do to make your stay here worth your while? And whether it's abroad or not, the same disability.
I think it was so bad. When I finally got there,
US.
When I got there, and we signed up, and then you sign up to classes and stuff. First of all, they had made sure that my room. So basically, they sent me, oh, these are your room details and everything. Only for me to finally get to school. And when I asked, oh, these are my room details, they were like, wait, what faculty are you? And I was like, oh, I'm going to be doing I'm going to be an LLM. They were like, oh, no wonder, you're right across, like your faculty is right across your hostel. Like it was literally 25 steps from my hostel door to my classroom.
Can we take it back up a bit, Toby, please? Let's forget that you're talking about the UK, but this is just common sense.
I'm telling you.
As in 25 steps.
I've heard a story of a child wanted an elective, probably home economics, and because the school had the school was a two-story building, a one-story building, and they said no, she can't do home economics as an elective because the home economics lab was upstairs. Like, can't you bring home economics class downstairs?
Down?
You don't have RAM just for this person to access knowledge. And it's as simple as that. It's just a mindset. Forget whether it's UK or whatever. It's a common sense mindset thing. How can we move things around so everybody learns?
Exactly. I mean, we got into class. I remember the first day when we got into class, and we took our first lecture. The disability office reached out to say, how was your first day of school? Are there any things that we could do to make it easier for you? And then I remember saying, I think I just said it in passing, that the lights were harsh because they have this really bright white light, and that it was really harsh. Like I felt like it was a lot of light. Guess what? By my next class, there was a darkened side of the room where I could basically just sit if I didn't want the light.
In the class, the same classroom with your neurotypical, with other kids?
Yeah, same classroom.
The accommodation.
So the lecturer just basically said, oh, so for those of you who, and then, so the lecturer didn't make it, of course they must have told the lecturer, oh, it was this student has, but he didn't make it, when he came in, he just said, oh, so for those of you who might find the light a little bit too bright, there are some seats at the back where it's a bit darker. Anyone can sit there. So that obviously didn't
go and sit down there. You know you cannot see the light is too bright for you.
Exactly. There wasn't that.
Exactly.
So basically, I mean, some people joined, other people joined me and were like, yeah, I mean, I prefer a darker place. But the way that it was said kind of made it like anybody who needs this accommodation is available for all of you. So that, for me was so mind-blowing. And then apart from that, I think I just never got in touch with disabilities office anymore because I was like, this is even too easy. Like, so they started chasing me around though.
So you know what? I stand to be corrected, but it doesn't have to be anything big or fantastic. It doesn't have to be.
It doesn't have to be.
Someone was asking, "Ma'am, God, when my dear country Nigeria, look, there's some people who are already doing this in the little silos. We can do it, and let's not keep quiet. Hashtag I will not keep quiet. It is doable. I mean, it is doable. You don't have to have it all together. It's about thinking, improvisation. No, what will you do? What can I do? How can we make it better for you? Show that you truly care. Really, it's not about, oh, I have money. I want to make peace. I want to make money. I want to invest into a school. And it's not about that. These are lives. These are lives we're dealing with. These are the future. The future leaders. We keep complaining. What are we giving? How are our words? Do we use our words with a lot of empathy thinking that, are not pointing fingers, are not even already stigmatizing that person in your presence. Somebody standing in front of you say, you know, you cannot see, you know, your whole problem is not seeing. Come and stand here now before you start complaining. There's a way we use our words. I don't know if it's a cultural thing, but let's learn to be more careful. Let's think, even if that person wanted that help, the way you said it, person keep quiet. And as teachers,
I'm
even as
telling
parents,
you.
you know, well done, Toby. Thank you. Thank you for all that you've shared with us today. Really, you've said so much. Auntie Angela, you've said so much. Really, as in, I was thinking we'll be done by now because I promised you we're not going to stay long. But two things, real quick. Auntie Angela, I'm coming back to you. You are a parent. Toby has taken advocacy into her own hands. She had done that and she had moved on. What words you? I know you do a lot with parents. You've done so much, you know, and it's not about status whatsoever. I think it's about you, and I know it's about your heart. Because we have people who are way much, who have more opportunities than you do, and we also have people who are not, who don't even have the opportunity that you do, but their heart speaks to parents genuinely. I know a lot of beautiful people, fantastic people, and it's not about finances, but speaking to parents and service providers, what words would you give to them from your heart to them based on your experiences and what you've been able to do, man?
Well, for parents, first, like I said, do not take anything less than the best for your children. I mean, allow them to have all the opportunities available to a Nigerian citizen because it's their right. Don't even think. If you have a child with a disability and it's obvious, you still take them out because people will never learn if you keep them away. If they see them, enough of them in society, they'll know that, okay, there are these people, they exist, and they have to learn to change their mindset. It's not about, us keeping them away and to accommodate, to make people comfortable. It's not that, it shouldn't be that way. Bring your child out, allow them to live. And have to remember that they have feelings. Just put yourself in their situation.
Yes.
How would you feel if you have a brain? Because they have brains. They have brains. It's just that maybe some people learn slower than others, but they have brains and they have feelings. How would you feel if you're locked up in the house? You yourself, how would you feel if you're locked up in the house all day? And then, your food is brought to you upstairs. When visitors come, they rush you upstairs. I mean, please, parents, we have to stop this. And for teachers, like I said, in my son's school, towards after a while, it started changing. And as I said, Mrs. Koiki, God bless her, because she always had that intention. She was the one who set up Anthos House, where my son is now. It is, it's for children who have learning challenges or young adults, so that they can learn independent skills, employable, make them employable. Her heart is there. So, teachers, you have to, be how do I put it? Be the ones to make a change in the life of these children, because they'll come out, they'll be so educated, and they'll point back to you and say, "Oh, that teacher, this is the person that changed my life." We really need you to understand and do as much as we can for these children when they come your way. Be nice. Put your heart in it. A real teacher can teach anybody.
True.
So it's take it as a
True.
challenge and learn how to, yeah. So that's basically what I have to say.
Wow.
Bring your
Thank you. I
children
could
up,
see
please.
your
Bring
I
your
could
children.
see your expression when you were speaking. And I want to thank you so much, ma, for giving us your heart today. Before I let you go, Toby is going to also come and give a final word. I would like to read out some comments to us and see if there are any questions. But I want to tell you that we've learned so much from you today. Oh my God, the comments are so much. I'll just speak as much as I can. And I want to thank everyone for being a part of this. Remember, it's Finding Up with Special Needs. Please, anything we find and the help we find, let's not keep it to ourselves. Let's keep speaking. Keep speaking until our change comes. Until our change comes, please, let's keep speaking. Let's not keep quiet. There's so much. Listen to this parent speak. Listen to this individual speak. How do you feel? Do you think it's just a child's play? There's so much going on. And they're not only speaking for themselves, they're speaking for those other kids out there. The least we can do is to take this information and begin to make a change in all that we've learned. Thank you all for joining. Let me read this. Discovery of identity really helps to get better along the line. Very true. Families ought to be the first advocacy group before any other group. Important. We edit. Miss Angela said it. Toby
Exactly.
said it. If you do not, I always say to parents, I cannot love your child more than you do. You first have to show me that, so that when I bring anything less, you're not going to take it. So we have to be the one to do that first as parents. Self-advocacy is much better. Thank you, Toby. So what else? Seek knowledge for your children to be able to understand what will work for them. Very important. Someone said, I like your charisma, Toby. Advocacy, advocacy, advocacy. Very important. Someone says, some teachers do not even know about the accommodation in external exams. Teachers also need tutoring. We need to. I told about the story of the one in the UK. He kept on going until they listened. So you have a part to play as teachers.
Yeah.
Oh, Toby, someone said, I'm loving your style. You know your lane and you know how to work in it. Very important. And I'm sure someone is speaking from that. Give your child a voice and she is young. Give your child a voice while she is young and she will get away with anything. Wow, this is amazing. Yes.
Almost.
Empowering your kids to be a voice for themselves, and it is important to help children with special needs advocate for themselves. They need that. They need to learn it. They need to. And without you, they can't. Oh my God, empowering your kids is very important. Very. It can never be overemphasized. You need to empower your children. What else? Let's see. So many beautiful comments. It says, Geranji says, don't judge a book by its cover. Do not. Do not. You know what? When I wrote something about today's show on my social media platforms, I said, the more like you just see something, you just say, oh, it's not disability, there's nothing good that can come out of it. And then you hear people like Toby talk, you hear people like Auntie Angela talk about you to be good time go. Oh my God, please, please, can I touch that medal, please? Auntie Angela, permission to come visit. Do not touch the medals, please. Don't touch it. And let you place it at top so I can get my own medals too. You know, wow. Somebody says, Manji says, wow, that's bold of you, Toby. Inspiring story. Thank you for inspiring us with your story. I'm sure a lot of people are picking that, parents are picking that. If people don't know you better, they can't do better. That's true. Vicky says, if people don't know, if you keep hiding, if you don't say what you have to offer, people will keep judging you wrongly.
Yeah.
What a story, Toby. Kudos to you. Your parents really did a good job. Gave you all the tools to be whoever you want to be and live a normal, perfect life. You are brave. Thank you for being brave. Thank you for being a testimony to all us and an encouragement. Your story is truly encouraging. Let me see more. Yeah. A lot of schools claim to practice inclusion, but they don't want to fight for the kids, you know. So beyond acceptance, we need to fight for them in relevant places like the WAEC and all of that. You need to keep speaking for them, true. You know. We must speak up for our special children, finding up with special needs. Yes. Okay. Someone says, thank you. That's Ngozi Chinaka says, thank you, Lola, for this. Naming is one of the things that demoralize children with learning. So you keep calling them names and all that. No. Once you find out what it is, how can I help you be the next thing, and not to just keep stigmatizing and just keeping talking to them as if they're less of themselves. Auntie Angela, that's Ngozi Chinaka. Thank you for all that you do. Please, I would like to know if you take your typical children along with you to interact with children with disabilities. That's a question for you.
Okay. I might answer now.
You want to answer that?
Yeah, that's probably a given.
Yes, I mean, obviously they're not always with me. You mean my typical children as in my children?
Yes, but do you take them when you talk to other? Do you take them also so that they more like they're also in the know and they also probably speak to those individuals about how?
Very much so.
Thank you so much, Ma, for that answer. Our children have the right to be everywhere. Auntie Angela, very important. I like what you did. We're not going anywhere. We're staying here. We live here.
I like that actually.
For who?
I like that.
Advocacy is the key word for parents, and support mechanism will help protect our special kids. Absolutely, absolutely. Challenging but doable. Most of the things you say is challenging, but it is doable. You know, it's doable. I'm super proud of you, Auntie Angela. Thank you. Dina says it's all about owning the facts, truth about your child as a parent. Very true. What else? Let's see. Oh, someone says, I'm amazed churches do that. Even Jesus, our Lord, never chased anyone away. He said, let the children come to me. Oh, it's a Sunday. Let's preach today. We all have a part to play. Yes, I agree with you. Everyone has a part. Teachers, we all have a part to play. Let me see. Wow, wow, wow. So many comments. I love this one. See, Kole Aloba says, our culture, religion, friends, and family need more information and education about special child challenges and how they can help. Yes, everyone. We all have our hands on deck, and we all cannot keeping quiet. Enough. We all have work to do. I never allow bullying or stigmatization of any special child. Thank you for that, Kule Aloba. I will not keep quiet no more. I will advocate for every individual with disability. Thank you, Pamela Manu, for that. Again, I will not keep quiet no more. Be it in church, anywhere I find a child with special needs. Thank you, Okoraf Alexander, for that. Vicky also says, I will keep speaking and advocating for individuals with disability. Let's get the words out there. Hashtag, I will not keep quiet. Thank you. Wherever I find myself, I will not keep quiet. I will keep advocating. Thank you, everyone. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Thank you. Wow. What an evening. Good, good, good. Thank you, everyone. We can take more comments, but Toby Lover, please give us your final words. Give us your final words. What advice? I love what you do with teachers, and I think it got better from your experiences. What words you have for teachers? What last words you have for parents? Thank you, Toby.
So again, my final words, and I'm sure if you know me, you've heard this over and over, right? Every child can learn. Every child should learn, and they should learn with their peers. And the truth is that we can talk all we want about self-advocacy. If we take education out of it, no child is going to be able to advocate for themselves. Without an education, self-advocacy is not going to happen. So, please, like Lola will say, have you tried everything? I do not want to hear that child cannot learn. You haven't tried everything, because we all come out of the womb literally learning. So every child needs to learn so that they can have the tools to even have the conversation. If you've never taught your child anything, where do they find the tools to have the conversation around self-advocacy? I mean, if your son hasn't watched you, Auntie Angela, stand behind him in green springs and say, we're not going anywhere, where would he have found the courage to go to camp for 2 weeks on his own? I went to boarding school. I would never have been able to go to boarding school if my parents did not give me the tools to be able to advocate for myself. And that started with that school owner that said, bring her to me. So give every child that you come across, as a teacher and as a parent. And parents, I hope that you learned. You cannot keep saying my child can't. You have to stand behind your child and help them get the education that they need so that they can become the self-advocates they need to become, because you will not always be here. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Toby. A few people were watching us on another platform, and I just thought to put out their comments. Thank you. He said, thank you all. I needed this. Oh, wow. Auntie Angela, thank you. This is the feedback you needed to hear. Your time was not in vain. Toby, someone just confirmed this. Tobola money. Thank you all. I needed this at this time. Can you? I'm having good people's right now. I never even knew this person needed this. Thank you for all you do, Auntie Angela. Thank you for Toby. Not yet sure how to proceed with my daughter, but we are moving ahead. Thank you. Thank you, Auntie Angela. Thank you, Toby. Thank you so much. Thank you. Nana says, great piece, a very well-structured way to express having a child with a disability. The winding road with all the unexpected turns and twists. These are things that I'm almost teary. This is so emotional for me. And there's no better person than to do this, or no better people to do this than a person living with CP and a mother of a child with autism. You know, someone says, Nana says, my lecturer Anna Rose use it as part of our resources to teach inclusion. You know, I think it was a story of Welcome to Holland. You know, And we all need to read that. I think I put that out there. Just type welcome to Holland. You will see that. It just makes you want to help. It just brings up empathy upon you, whoever you are. You know, I thank you so much. And I don't know what to say again. Thank you so much. And God that can now say, every child should learn with their peers. We all came out of the womb learning. Thank you, Toby. Thank you so much. I want to thank everyone who was a part of the global special education virtual summer camp. It was phenomenal. I was blown away. I said to people, when people ask me, what is the word? I said, I'm in awe of God. It was so real. Parents spoke, participants learned, and we were taken to the next level, really. I want to thank every one of you for all that you do. And like I said, beyond the knowing and the hearing, it is the doing. It is the doing. That is all essence of what we do. Let's go out there and make a difference. If we're not a part of it, you can see all that for the recorded version and join us. Thank you once again, everyone. I feel truly blessed and honored to be with all of us this evening, and it has been worth my while, and I hope it's the same for you all. For everyone who joined on different platforms, thank you. Beyond this, hashtag I will not keep quiet, and then keep doing what we can do in our little ways to make the world a better place for individuals with disability or special needs. Once again, thank you, Auntie Angela. Thank you for Tobiloba. See you all next week. Thank you. Thank you so much.
Thanks for having me. Bye.
Great to see you again.
The Global Special Educators Virtual Summer Camp 2020.
The online transition and the number of speakers has truly made this edition an interesting one.
We are right now, we're working with the Cadet Academy on a training course which is specific to Africa. So I'm really eager to see how that develops. I know it's going to be wonderful because of the Cadet Academy. Now, the great professional ladies there will make it terrific, I'm sure. So we're looking forward to that.
Thank you.